Hey there guys, thanks for joining us on another board game night. Tonight we're playing Sid Meier's Civilization, A New Dawn. And this is obviously the new one by FFG, and it's designed by James Kniffen?
Niffen.
Yeah, Kniffen.
I'm going to get my knife and can I have my dinner. Jesus. That's a good start.
Following from Harry Potter.
Niffen.
Right, so with me I have Tony. This is his copy of the game.
Barbarian.
Martin and myself, Jason. Right, so this is going to be interesting because, as I said, this is Tony's game, and him and Martin have played this a few times, but I have not played this at all.
No. He's played it once, and I played it once plus a half demo game of Essen.
So this is going to be interesting. I'm playing as the Romans. What are you playing, Tony?
I am the Japanese.
Japanese.
Barbarian.
You were right about your bastards, Peter.
I am Gilgamesh of Sumeria, the happiest man I think I've ever seen. Which is basically why I picked him. He looked super happy.
And you, Mick?
I'm the Egyptians, which is why I'm the other side of the map from Japan.
All right. So we have just constructed the map. A couple of center tiles are laid out with some key resources and city-states in, and then we've added the maps as such. There's my capital down here. There's Martin. There's Mick, and there is the barbarians.
The Japanese.
The Japanese. All right. I'm gonna let these two give you a brief.
Well, I don't think. I mean, we've had a discussion about it. I don't think we should explain it too much in detail. Anyway, obviously, it's a civ building game, so we're going to spread out, put more cities down, exploit the land for resources and whatnot, build wonders, blah blah blah. Our objective is to. There's 3 objective cards here. We need to score each one, but there are 2 possibilities on each one. So the lower level of each one is 2 wonders of that type. So that's science, that's military, and that is economy, I believe. And then the top half gives you another option. So in this instance, it would be either 2 science wonders or increase your technology wheel up to maximum 24, essentially. Okay, so that's what our objective is. We're trying to get those 3 whilst we're moving around. The crux of the game relies on your. What did you say this was called, Danny? Your
A focus bar.
focus bar. That's the one. So the crux of the game is based on this. Essentially, we all have 5 technologies. These 5 cards. As we get new technologies, they replace existing ones. We'll only ever have 5. They'll just be better versions of what's there.
And the deck of the better ones is over there.
Exactly that. And as we activate an ability, choose our action from anywhere on this thing. It's based on the terrain type that it sits at, or below, or the number. Okay. So, for example, your astronomy. You gain ticks on your technology wheel, which is here, equal to the number that it's at. So in this instance, if Jason activated that, he'd get 1 tick. And then it would move to the front of the pile and push everything else up. Obviously, that being in 1 wouldn't move. Whereas pottery, this is your build a wonder, and you gain points towards the construction equal to where it is. So that would be 5 points. Wonders tend to start about 7 or so. So you can see 7, there's a 9 there, but 7s, so that's 5 points towards that, which is pretty good. Or you can build another city on the terrain type that it's on or below. So in this instance, mountains or below. So obviously having something in your 5 is really powerful. The further down it goes, the more restrictive it is. And then once you've used it, it goes to the front and pushes everything else up. So, and that's the crux of the game. We're just going to go through, choose our action, do the thing, blah, blah, blah. They'll get more powerful, we'll have more cities and things, we'll put markers down on the board, we can attack each other, etc, etc. And that's it, and it'll keep going until someone's got all 3 objective cards done.
We'll get all 3 objective cards and we'll finish round to the first turn.
So we have an equal number of turns.
Yeah, so what we'll do, obviously we're giving you the overview now. We'll get started with the game, play through a few rounds, and then we'll show you a gameplay turn where you can see us going through the rounds and how the game flows, and we'll explain what we're doing as we're doing them. And then at the end, we'll tell you our verdict and what we thought.
Just to say, we all have unique abilities on our race as well. I don't know if that was obvious, but...
So, like, for example, I'm Rome, which has something to do with caravans. Also, they tell you at the bottom there, the setup, how your technology is set up to begin with. So obviously that gives you a clue maybe of what you're supposed to do. And at the back it tells you what the objectives are that you need to control, like those ones over there. So it's like a little cheat sheet. And you have some defensive packs which you can do. You've got 8 cities, although capital one's already on the board. A lot of control markers, and a ton of tokens and cards and various little gubbins. So let's get started.
Control markers have 2 sides. It's called an unreinforced side, which is the weaker side, and then you can pimp it up to a reinforced.
In essence, the difference between them is reinforced takes an extra hit to kill it. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. And these are barbarians. They'll come into play later. Alright, let's get started. I think the gameplay turn will be more interesting than us explaining every little minutiae rule out of this game. So let's get going. Alrighty, so this is potentially gameplay phase 1, as we might do one later on in the game, so you can see the change in the board and whatever. So at the moment, we've had a few turns. I'm the first player, so I'm going to have my turn now. As you can see, I've built a city over there, got some caravans. That caravan shouldn't actually be there. Got a couple of caravans moving around. The Sumerians are over there, built out. The Egyptians have got some mature cities over there.
2 mature cities.
And the
Japanese
are getting
harried by barbarians.
Yes.
2 mature cities now, Mick. Interesting.
Alright, so as the first player, obviously got action selection phase. I'm going to use pottery. So pottery is under the 5th section. I'm going to build a wonder, which is build 1 wonder. Your production equals the slot's number. So I've got a production of 5. I've also got Buenos Aires, which is when you're building a wonder, reduce its cost by 2 if you do not already have a wonder of that type. As this is my first wonder that I'm about to build, I do not. So it costs, I'm going to build Colossus. So Colossus costs 7. So I'm going to spend 5 from my pottery, and then it's reduced by 2. So I don't have to spend any more, but I could spend diamonds and oil to reduce the cost even more.
What does it do?
When resolving economy focus card, which is the one with the caravans, your caravans move a total of 6 additional spaces, divided as you choose.
Nice.
I kind of
Was that
figured.
a wonder, was it?
Is
Yeah.
that the one?
Yes, I kind of figured it was good for
For you, yeah.
the Romans.
The next one that's come out is the Great Lighthouse. So when building cities, you can build in empty spaces on the edge of the map as if they were within 2 of friendly space. Which essentially means you can build anywhere on the edge of the map.
Yeah. So just one last thing to point out, I got some trade goods on here. If I needed more resource points, I could spend some of those to get +1 production for wonders. But I didn't need to, as the 5 was enough. So now this slots out and goes to the back of the line, and these all move up like that. Now that goes in there. And then it goes to Tony.
I'm going to do my Tech Level 2 Culture, Drama and Pottery, which places 2 control tokens on the space, matching this slot's terrain or lower. But my power turns any desert or mountain, that's 4 and 5s, into the equivalent of 3s. So there we go, 2 control tokens, which I am going to place there because I can, because of my Japanese power. Japanese, and 1 there, turning hopefully that into a mature city because it's totally surrounded by control tokens or water.
There we go. And then it goes to Martin's turn.
Yeah, I was just planning. I think I'm going to do mathematics. So place 1 trade token from the supply on your focus cards. On one of your focus cards. It must be that one. Interesting. I think I will put it on there. And then I'm going to advance my tech dial a number of spaces equal to this slot's number. So this goes up by 5, and each one of these that I want to spend is an extra 1, so I'm going to put it up by 6. I'm on 4 already, so I go up to 10. So I get a level 2. Basically my last level 2. Which is that. And then something becomes level 3. And I think I'm done after that, Jason.
I'll just point out it's happening here that you're putting a 2 up to a 3, but you could put a 1 straight up to the 3.
Yeah,
You don't need
all
the
of my
intermediate.
That will go
tech
down anyway,
stages.
but something's going to become a level 3.
I'm choosing masonry, and I am turning 2 of these
into reinforced.
That means they've got an extra hit if barbarians hit them or we attack them. They support defence to adjacent things.
Alright.
And
So
so that moves down. Okay, and then we do.
So Mick, can you do that? So because
now barbarians move.
Mick is the last player in the turn and I'm the first player in the turn, between us we have this little barbarian activation thing, which means the barbarians are going to move space 1.
This way.
That's nice for me.
So
Damn
So
it.
just to show you,
Oh!
Across the
What
water.
happens if the barbarian goes in his caravan?
1. They get destroyed.
I do believe they do, yes.
No, they get destroyed by me.
No,
Caravans.
when you move on to them.
Oh yeah.
so Jason.
We better check.
Well, we'll get back to that. Everything else moved.
Yeah.
Destroys and return to focus card.
Okay. And then it goes to me. So I'm going to do Early Empire, which is place 2 control tokens on spaces matching this slot's terrain or lower, and then that are adjacent to a friendly city. So I'm going to, for what it's worth, put 1 there and 1 there, making this city mature. Because this counts as water, and there's water there, and everything else is what's named. And then I shuffle my little thing along. This is annoying.
I don't think it's annoying. It's dead easy.
I didn't say it was difficult, I said it was annoying.
Okay, I'm going to do masonry, which reinforce a number of your control tokens up to this slot's number. So I can do 3. I'll spend that to do 4. Okay. So I'll reinforce 1, 2, 3, 4.
Sorry,
Which I have the Wonder Petra, which means my defensive values increase by 2, but also barbarians cannot move into a space containing one of your cities or a reinforced control token. So I've sort of started to defend my territory from those
the
barbarians.
problem for you now though is building a new city. It's going to be difficult.
I'm going to do drama and pottery, I think. Place 2 control tokens on spaces matching this slot's terrain or lower, so hills or plains. They're going to go there and there. And then I can move one of my control tokens to an adjacent non-water space, which he's going to go back there. And mature my city. It's me.
Right, back to me. I am now going to build a wonder. Oh no,
No, he's
so
not.
that can one of these. As long as I've got that, that's one of them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oil or
They count
yeah,
as
culture.
2
So I've got
across
that.
it.
So I've got
So it's
5,
five,
6,
6,
7, and I build
No, no, no.
wonders for 1
It's-
less.
That counts as 2, that resource.
Does it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's 5, 6, 7.
So I
So
don't
you
have
don't
to
have to spend that, yeah.
Okay.
And you're building now a terracotta army.
Yeah. Thank you. So when attacking, increase your combat value by 2.
Alright, and if you would be so kind when you're done there, Mick, to move the barbarians along.
So everyone gets a crate.
For a mature city, you get a crate.
So
I've got
mature,
2 then.
I get
You do?
1
You got mature city as well, have you?
there. And this can go on any one of them, yeah?
Yes.
Yep.
Alright, and then it comes to me. So, I think I might do mathematics. So I can place 1 trade token from the supply on one of my focus cards. Which will be... I don't know. That one. And then advance your tech tile, the number of spaces equal to this number slot, which is 4. So this is my tech tile. Currently it's on 6. So I'm going to move it to 10, which means I can get a level 3 tech. And then, of course, this will slot down again. And that is my turn.
Okay. Just deciding what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I've got a plethora of choices.
I am going to do a simple one down here. From slot 2, drama and poetry, to place 2 control tokens. It's a bit risky, but I'll do it this way.
So you can't build a city there because that being next to it.
There? You
Yeah.
can put it there, yeah.
Yeah.
But if you had a control token there, would the barbarian spawn on it each time,
If it spawns on it, it kills a control token. Yeah.
even if it's reinforced?
I'm not sure.
Yes, I don't know. I'd have to check the rules for that.
Because what would normally happen if it was reinforced, the reinforced would become normal and the barbarian token would...
Disappear.
Yeah.
Goes back.
I thought it goes back from where it came from.
Yeah,
so
it goes back to its spawn point. So it would destroy it because it would.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, it would appear. Flip it to
Flip
one
it and then hit it
reappear
again, yeah.
and knock it out.
Yeah. Did you do your go, Tony?
Yes, I placed 2 control tokens.
I think I am going to do this. Yep, fuck it. Right, nationalism. Build one world wonder. Your production equals this slot's number. So it's 3. I get +2, so 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to have the Venetian Arsenal, which is going to go there.
And it brings out a medieval wonder, Alhambra. When attacking or defending, increase your combat value by 2.
Hey, I like that. What that does, by the way, is once per turn, after I resolve the card in my 5th slot of my focus row, I can resolve it again, treating it as if it was in the 1st slot. Which sounded pretty good to me.
It does.
Back to you, Mick.
Right, so I'm going to do my trade from this city. 1, 2, 3. So I'll take that.
Which one are
Which
you doing
allows
with?
me.
Those top, yes, right.
So what he just did there, by the way, was he's moved one of his caravans from his mature city onto a what is this called?
City-state.
City-state, which gives you an ability. They're both the same
It's
card.
basically, you're going there doing diplomacy with them, and that's
And
the...
getting trade goods. Did you take 2 trade goods?
Nope. So,
They've got to go on the science because it's a science.
so
And then
and
the caravan
I've got
goes.
an awful thing. Time is quite good.
Yeah. So, barbarians move.
Just roll the dice, someone.
D6, Mick.
6.
Stop going away. Oh, Jesus, that's bad.
That's, you can't go into your capital.
No, because of Petra.
Mick's destroyed the earthquake.
Yeah, but... Oh, yeah.
It's,
So what does it do?
one
Bounce?
assumes
Does
it
it-
bounces, so it goes that way.
These are all gone.
They've moved, yeah. Shit, I'm moving further away from me. That's not good.
And that is another rotation done. So it's back to me again. But what we'll do is we'll stop the gameplay and come back to you maybe 10 turns from now. So when things have developed a bit more and you can see how the game progresses. So be back soon. Alright, so we're back for gameplay part 2. Right.
Late game.
Late game, yeah. This is very end of game sort of thing. But I wanted to show you what it looks like. So this is what the board looks like now. So you can see it's very full, very colourful. As the areas have been expanded, the borders expanding. Victory point wise, this is what the victory points. Martin's already completed 2. Mick just completed that one as well.
Which one did you get? The
Warmonger.
Cool.
So it's now going to me. I'm going to do mathematics. So I can place 1 trade token from the supply on one of my cards. I've actually maxed out. I've got 3 on every single card.
Spend them, man.
So, and at the start of my turn, I may move 1 barbarian 1 space. Go that way.
To have to be on an empty space.
Yeah. And then advance your tech tile number of spaces equal to where the slot. So currently I'm on 22, and this was going to move me up to basically
You
3
moved up
spaces.
3, yeah.
So it's going to move me up to 24, which has basically completed my dial, which means I get that objective.
Not that they can see that, but we can.
So you can see there, I've just completed the
Technophobe.
tech dial.
Or whatever,
Does this,
Technophobe.
because when you upgrade this to 24, it goes back down to 15, did you say?
Yeah, 15. And then you've still got 1 left to get.
Yeah, does it go 1 up?
So it'll be on 16, basically, yeah. And you can still spend your trade tokens, which I see no reason not to.
Well, it moves me up to the next
Well, yeah,
gap
do
as
it
well.
then.
So I'll spend 3 trade, so it moves me up to there. So now I get 2 4
2
upgrades.
level 4s, yeah.
I'll do that in a second.
Upgrade masonry from 1 to 4.
Yeah, I think I might. I might do urbanization as well. So, no, actually, I'm not doing that yet.
If it helps, it ain't going to matter.
No, I didn't think of it.
Where's your science? Not your science. Yes, your science.
It's on. My science is on 2 at the moment.
Oh, that's a bugger. You're not going to promote it to 5 because if you did science, you'd have nuclear weapons.
I am.
You're not going to get him to use them in
It's not
time.
no difference anyway, is it? Even if you nuked him, you wouldn't stop him.
No, because he's still got that, and you can't stop the tech one.
Because I could have attacked him this go, no
Yeah.
problem, and done the city easily, I think. Or,
On the-
or
The
not
way
easily,
Martin's done
but
it,
more
doing the
based on the dice
cities,
roll.
getting the city one, and then doing the tech one last is the way to do it. Because
Yeah, I mean,
The tech
if I
can't be
played this
stopped.
again, I would definitely have paid way more attention. I didn't even realise he was on 7th and 8th cities.
Well, I wasn't, to be fair. I did 3 in 1 turn.
That's
Well,
it.
I did 2, one after the other, and then the very next action I did a third. Because I can do the level 5 and the level 1, so I put 2 down and then put that last
That's
one down
why-
that turn, and it was basically
what
okay
would
from
happen.
nowhere.
I was doing actually quite interesting because I needed 1 more wonder of each of those 2, and I've completed those 2 as well. So,
Militarily, I think I'm almost on a par with you now. If I attach you, not if you attach me, but if I attach you, I think I'm on.
I'm pretty pokey, yeah, but yeah.
I'm not very
If
good
you
at
attack
attack,
me, you beat me.
but
if I
defensively
attach
I'm
you-
freaking solid as hell.
I got a +2 defence
But
there.
there's not much other defence you've got.
So, was that my last turn? Or?
Yes.
But only if I get the.
only if he gets the Tekken. One resource, so it's not going to make much difference.
Moved the wrong fucking
It cost me 11, I didn't want 12.
So I've just gone up enough to get a tech level 4.
You don't?
Yeah.
I'm going to use mathematics. So I place a trade good from a supply on one of my focus cards. I'm definitely going to do that. Then advance my tech dial a number of spaces equal to the slot's number. So it goes up by 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which is taken out to 24. Back down to 15. And I may as well spend those 3.
Build a wonder
to
on
go.
the first
1,
slot.
2, 3.
Them two. Okay, actually.
I'll come down here. I think I'm going to have flight, because why not?
I got flight as well, and I got nuclear power.
And I put my token on the Technophile one.
So that means you have. Is that signalled the end of the game?
Yeah,
No,
basically
I
we
think
complete
we
the
should-
round.
Yeah,
So
we
Nick
should just
has
make,
his go.
basically.
And then
I'll
that's
just
that.
complete a wonder.
Because Jason was, because
that'd
basically
be
he's the
2.
first player.
4, 5, 6. I get it for 1 cheaper. And they match the tokens on there. So I'll just take Stonehenge.
It's interesting because that doesn't actually complete any objectives. Couldn't you not?
And there's no objectives I can complete. I can't get the I can't do the 5. There's nothing I can achieve.
No, fair enough. Because you could have got second place then.
Yeah, I can't get 8 cities.
There we go. That is.
Could you have attacked the capital?
Nowhere near, am
Don't know. What's your-
Well, it doesn't even
so
it doesn't even have
I
to be a
can
capital. You just have
I?
to attack.
your capital.
You just need to attack a city with yellow in it. Because you got. Oh no, you don't have a second yellow.
No, because he's
Or
got
blue.
an objective. Defeat one rival capital city.
But I've already got that one, haven't I?
Oh yeah, shit, you have. The one thing you've actually got.
What I was thinking is if he attacks a
Yeah.
city with a second yellow or a second blue, but he's only got 2 reds and a purple,
Yeah.
so it doesn't matter either of those. Because you can obviously take over a city with a wonder in, And then you can have one wonder per city. Alright, there we go. That is the end of the game. Martin has won.
Again, by the same route. Almost.
So there's no
Well,
point.
it's the same car that did it, because that one you rightly said you can't stop. And once we've got the other two, it's like, oh, he's
The
going to win
tech
next
one
turn
you can't
because I
stop.
can't change anything.
You've always got to leave the tech one to the last one because it's one that
That's not to say the tech one's always there.
Yeah.
Because there are.
How many of those are there?
There's 8 of them?
5.
5, is it?
Yeah,
So you got a random 3, so 2 not used.
2 not used.
Alright, well I'm not going to stop the video here and then restart it again. We might as well just carry on straight to the verdict. What do we guys think? So Tony, this is your game. What do you think?
It's a different beast than the other Civ games, totally and utterly.
It's not much of a beast, really. It's quite. It's quite compact and.
Do you want to move closer? Then I can get you both in
Easy.
here.
Not really. For some reason, there's a chair in the way now.
It's for Molo.
What do we play then? About 2.5 hours?
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
It's a nice length game. There's some nice mechanics in there. Looks nice. The components and
It is
and
Fantasy
bits-
Flight, to be fair.
Yeah,
It's always going
they
to.
always look nice.
Although I have to say that the player colour choices are a bit odd. Orange, like pastel green, what's this,
They're quite
teal
easy
or whatever
to
it is,
pick
and
out,
red is a
yeah.
bit strange. I mean, people normally go green, blue, red, yellow.
Maybe it's something to do with colour blindness or something.
Maybe.
I like how the barbarians move around and destroy things. Well, they didn't destroy much because they were all near you, and one of your powers was to pick them off.
Yeah.
I had.
Well, that was kind of played for, really.
Yeah.
I tried to be near barbarians so I could actually capitalise on my ability.
That's why I started trying to.
I
take
like
them
the
away.
mechanic of the
Too late.
focus bar, where you activate something. The further it goes along, the better it is. I don't think there's enough difference between the levels in the tech. There is a difference. Mate,
They definitely get better.
They get better.
But yeah, I mean, they're not.
Possibly. I'd like to have more multiples of the same level of the same type, so more type 2 culture ones, so you could take a different branch from somebody else, because we're all on that same path. We all do.
Yeah.
We all
Well, there are
do different
5
things.
different technologies, and there are 4 levels of each,
Yeah.
and we've all got the same card, so there's nothing different in there at all. So it's not like, oh shit, I didn't know you could
So
do that. I can't do that.
An expansion would be nice that gave you different branches of the 5 different types at different levels. So that would give some difference to the cultures that you're building. Would give a bit of difference. We all see.
It's an interesting one as well, because while I think an expansion is likely to happen, the technology is the one thing that I'm not totally sure will get expanded,
Yeah.
because of the way they've done it. The way it's kind of, you have these 5 actions and they're intrinsic to the game. You need to be able to do those 5 things. I don't see how they can change them much unless they kind of, like you say, give an alternate level 2, which does broadly the same thing but with a tweak there. You know,
Yeah,
it doesn't do.
It's
X.
an industry one. It does the same. So your industries build you wonders or cities. I suppose it could. I don't know. do
Well,
something
I mean, for
like
example, the level 2 military one, if I remember rightly, had like a +1 to it or +3 if you attack barbarians. It could be +2 against city-states instead to have that. So you think, oh, I'm
or
gonna
a
go aggressive
defensive
against-
one.
Or something like
what's
that.
more for your defensive.
Possibly, but I actually personally don't think they'll change the text. You'll get more races, you'll get more wonders. You might get something else on
More
top of that.
city-states, probably more boards to give you more wonders and
Yeah,
more city-states.
I wouldn't even be surprised if you had a board that went with each race as well. So you had a unique sort of starting board, like Egypt had more desert around it, or so, I don't know, something like that. But I'd be very surprised if they do something with the tech
Well, if
because
they
of
do-
the way they've built
Yeah,
it.
if they do races, they'd have to bring in more starting boards. So,
True. Yeah.
well, they wouldn't because it's 4-player.
They may add a 5th player as well. That's the other thing.
They
they might
probably
do.
would. That's probably given that one. I enjoy playing it. I don't know. It's an oddball one, really. It's not. It isn't. scratch that Civ itch totally. I like the control type where you place control markers.
It's almost like borders.
Yeah, almost like borders.
You know, it reminds me a little bit of Scythe. Not, I know it seems a strange comparison, but I don't feel I'm actually building a civilization, even though technically you are. Actually, more area control.
It feels more like you're building. I know it's odd. It feels not like the other Civ games where you're going from Stone Age to computer.
It's funny.
It
Sorry.
feels more like you're building a nation in a smaller time period.
While you were speaking earlier, I was thinking about it earlier, and this is quite interesting because this doesn't feel like a Sid Meier's Civilization game, but it feels like we played Tribes, that Rise of Tribes earlier, and I think this is very similar to that in terms of it's very abstract, sort of just building a civilization, but not a civ. I don't know.
I don't think it's abstract in. It's obviously it's kind of broadly representing what we're doing, but it's an abstracted Civ game, definitely.
Because there's no real culture or military or technology, but they are kind of there, sort of representing.
Well, and these resource tokens as well don't do a lot beyond. I mean, it is weird that all you can do in your city is build a wonder.
Yeah,
That's all they do.
Because that's what I was feeling. That's why I said about the Scythe bit, because I felt trying to hoover up resources rather than I'm actually spreading my
you can't
civilization
even generate resources, can you? It's just like unless you have an ability that does it, it is literally what's on the map is there. Whereas in other Civ games, you often kind of mine them or whatever, and I'm going to generate.
There's that one thing with the embassy where you can send a caravan into someone's home, one of their cities, and then you can get a resource. You give them a trade good, and you get a resource of your choice. That's, I suppose,
there's
in a way.
There's a few things that can gain you resources, but it's broadly speaking what's on the board.
Yeah.
It's interesting. The natural wonders didn't really have much effect. Did anyone take a natural wonder this time?
I got two.
You did, didn't you? Yeah.
I got two.
Whereas I felt like they were a hot commodity in the last game.
Well, they were because one of the victory conditions was a 2 natural wonders.
So how much would you give it this 10 then, Tone? It's difficult, isn't it?
I've played it twice, and I'll play it again. It is a really difficult game to pin down. I would have to put it as 6, I think.
So I'm very conflicted about this game because I love Civilization games. It's my favorite type of PC game. It's my favorite type of strategy style game.
And I think on top of that, one of our favourite games collectively as a group as well is the previous Civ game that Fantasy Flight Games have done. And
I look at this game and I'm super excited about playing another Civ game, and then I feel deflated that I've played this game and it's not as good as the previous game. But as a game on its whole, and if I forget about any other Civ game, even Clash of Cultures and those type of games, it's actually not a bad game. It's interesting. It's got some interesting choices. It looks great. I love the map. The map is super fun.
It's definitely, aesthetically speaking, much nicer than the previous one.
Yeah, the map reminds me of Clash of Cultures map, which is with slightly smaller hexes. But it's, I like this type of map better than I liked the previous Civ map. And don't get me wrong, the previous Civ game had its own flaws and problems. But ignoring...
It takes 5 hours for
exactly,
one.
Yeah, that's one thing. But it felt more thematic and interesting and more choiceful. And obviously it had its own issues. Like military was a real upgraded version when they brought out... What was the third expansion? Wisdom and Warfare, was it?
Yeah.
That made military much more interesting. As a whole, looking at this game on its own, without looking at any of the other Civilization type games out there, I think it's alright. It's pretty decent. It's an interesting game. It's got some really interesting mechanics. The little Conan-style river thing is an interesting mechanic, if not a little annoying that you constantly have to rotate your cards out, but it makes for some interesting choices. I think that I love the little border elements to your little element tokens that you control.
I'm not really sure what they're supposed to represent, though. Are they soldiers, or are they just literally your borderline? This is the border of my territory, or
on their reinforced side, it's like your territory. It's your people out there.
Yeah.
And then I see when you reinforce them, you're building forts there.
Well, it reminds me of the actual computer game from number 4, where you could build things and it made these little borders going around your territories, and it was colours. So if you looked at the map, you had these colours that were, and that kind of reminds me of that. So that's what I was thinking of.
I mean, look, that you built a city smack bang in the middle of basically my control markers.
But your control markers were like going like this, so I've now sort of wormed my way in there.
But it doesn't really stop you from doing anything, which is why
But I can't build on these spots.
Well, let's put it this way, right? I mean, me and you are basically sharing a border here.
Yeah.
And other than the fact that I took over your control marker there was no real threat. If we were in a previous Civ game and that was a flag sat there,
oh
you'd
my
be thinking,
god, yeah,
holy shit, he's on my border. I need to do something about it. And you don't get that level of threat here. There isn't that level of tension of he's on my borders. I need to worry about him attacking me, because they're like a nebulous thing, and I'm not really sure what they're supposed to represent.
yeah.
And
Well,
you can attack out of them, but it doesn't seem to be that much of a gain for doing it.
No.
Or it doesn't. It's not actually a massive setback to being attacked either.
Well, this is why I don't feel like this is actually a Sid Meiers Civilization, because there's no, I don't know how to explain, like no thematic tie to anything. Like, for example, going down the culture route and trying to be passive, that doesn't really tie into anything, because...
Well, you also, to a degree, you can't really do that. Okay, yes, the 3 objective cards have each got 2 options on them. But ultimately, you have to choose one or the other of those. And if it's like not a route you want to go down, you're either forced down the other route because you didn't want to go military or whatever. I mean, I thought this one was, which is this one here, was warmonger. So it's take 2 city-states militarily, or attack and win a capital, or 2
military wonders.
And it was like, well, the military wonders are a lot easier than attacking. So everyone went the military wonders route.
Well,
I thought
to be
that
honest with you, you go for the military wonders,
and it makes it easier
to get the strength to attack a capital. So
Yeah.
you're going to trigger that before you get near triggering that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I thought that as well at the beginning of the game. When I saw that, I was like, ugh, I don't really want to do that. So I was hoping you have to complete 2 out of 3.
No,
and then it was like, no, you have to do all 3. And it's like, ah.
You can make this game longer by adding a 4th, by the way, as well.
Yeah. So yeah.
I don't think it needs to be made longer.
No, I don't think
I think
well,
its
honestly, in all
attraction
honesty,
is going to be a quicker game.
Absolutely that. And if you want to play a longer Civ game, play the other one.
Yeah, exactly. And that's my problem here is I feel, and this is where the crux of the matter for me comes in. Is like, if you said, either of you guys said Saturday night we're playing Civ, I would not want to be choosing this one. I'd be choosing the previous one.
Yeah.
Or Clash of Cultures for that matter. I would always choose those 2 over this. And this thing about the time frame, like, I feel like they made this game to condense the time limit so that you could play a Civ game in hour and a half, 2 hours, which is cool. But for me, time is not really a relevant factor to enjoyment of a game. Yeah, I would rather play one game for 5 hours if I'm entertained, and enjoying it, than play 5 games in an hour and kind of feel like meh about any of those games.
A 4-hour really enjoyable game can feel like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Whereas a 2-hour awful game can feel like you've been there all night.
And let's be fair, I mean, we're sat around with 3 or 4 of our friends. We're having banter and focusing on that game and stuff. It's not exactly like, oh god, when's this game going to end? You're spending time with your mates as well, so...
And I like the idea of the, like, I don't think there's been many times that we've played Civ or Clash of Culture or Eclipse or any of those type of games and felt like, oh my god, this game's taking forever. Even sometimes there might be someone that's getting a bit screwed and they might feel that, but I don't know. I don't think this is a bad game, but I don't see why it exists almost, except for people that don't like the previous game. Do you guys get what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think their remit here was exactly what you said. Make a Civ game in a shorter space of time. Simple as that. It has to be, because otherwise they had a perfectly good... They could have basically done a second edition of the previous one. Fixed the niggles that were there.
Change the map.
Yeah, well, I mean, if that game had this map... Great.
Yeah.
Because this map is definitely better. It looks nicer. I think the hexes work better. I mean, everything. I mean, how cool would it be if you had this and you had a hex building, like I build a harbour in here and I build a trading post in here? That's awesome. Brilliant.
I think, I think the other thing that really disappoints me a lot is that I love technology like Twilight Imperium and the previous Civ. I love the technology tree. Even when it's not your turn, you sit and rifle through your technology deck, coming up with ways of making it interesting that you can make your civilization go in the route that you wanted to go to. I felt in this one, it was like, well, these technologies do all the same that your technologies do. Like no matter
Yeah,
what,
absolutely, yeah.
no matter what I upgrade, it's going to be the same as what you're going to have
Yeah.
upgraded.
They didn't really influence anything. It's just making the actions we can all do slightly better.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
On that subject, I thought it was going to be good at the time. You can just jump from 1 to 4. But I remember in all the other Civ games with technology being important, I always felt the nerves of, have I gone up the right end of the tree? You know, I actually wanted that number 3, but I've gone 2 somewhere else. It's like, oh
Yeah.
God, I've cost myself.
I
2,
can't
3
I can't get railroads because I didn't buy
Yeah.
ironworks or something like that.
Or,
And so-
or I'm not making enough production, so I need to go buy mine so I can buy this upgrade and
Yeah,
stuff.
and so early technology, whereas in themselves are not doing a great deal for you, they still have an importance about them to you because of the tree that you've got to formulate, if you know what I mean. And
Yeah.
here, I never really panicked about the technology at all. Wasn't really fussed about it. It was going to come. It was going to come, and I didn't feel I was at a total detriment. I mean, I saw Martin race at the beginning with his technology. I thought, oh, I better do something about
Well, that's
that.
because I bought the pyramids,
Yeah.
essentially.
I thought I better do something about that. I advanced 2 of them, and then I looked at the rest, and it's like, actually, to be honest, with what I got in levels 1 and 2, I'm not actually that badly off.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 and 4 was nice, but it wasn't killing my game not having them, or I didn't feel, that it was. But yeah, I mean, I feel the same. I've always suffered from this though, where I've played one of my favourite games, then done an alternate version of it after, or owned it after, and it's like, oh, actually I prefer the other one, and I find it hard to get that out of my system. If it hadn't had that name on it, maybe I feel different about this game. Which seems a bit silly. But
So what is your thought? What would you rate this?
well, I don't rate it much more than 6. I think it's a rush, not rush production. I just think it's a job. It's a game
compressed.
just get on with it. Just get the game over as quickly as possible, and doesn't matter what route you got there.
I want to point out something that's not really relevant to this review, but we've played 2 other Civ games tonight. We've played Nations, the dice game with the Unrest expansion, and we've also played from Tea Time Games Tribes Early Civilization. And I might be a little controversial here, but if we're going purely on the fact that we want to play a Civ game in a short time frame, I'd actually play those 2 rather, because you can get those 2 done in less than an hour, as opposed to this one, which is roughly about 2 hours. And I don't think it's that much better in terms of building a civilization. The technologies are shit in all of them. The culture is shit in all of them. Even though I'm not saying these games are shit, I'm just saying if I want to play a Civ game, I'm going to play the previous Civ game. And if I'm going to play a fast Civ game, I'd probably play those 2 over this.
Because
Ironically, you could probably play both of them in the same
Same-
time.
Because it still takes
Yeah.
a lot of setting up with this game. I mean, there's still, quite a lot. I mean, aesthetically, it's really nice, but setup time is still probably a lot longer
There
than
possibly
them
is a
other
little
games.
bit because Tony's not long had it, and
Yeah, maybe.
none of us really know how to play and whatnot. So that probably factors in a bit.
But
So-
I do like that focus. I do like the focus. That actually
the
did appeal
mechanic
to me.
of-
Yeah, I did.
So what are you rating it then?
I think it's a 6. I think it's a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I think it's 6.
I don't think it's a bad game. It's not like I dislike this game. And if there was no other Civ games, I'd be probably happy with this because it looks good. It's got some interesting mechanics. Like we said, the river is interesting. I think the map looks brilliant. I love the way the components, bring out the borders in this sort of thing. I actually quite like, because this Clash of Cultures, I can't remember now, but doesn't Clash of Cultures have something like this where you, or some game I'm thinking about, has this sort of mechanic where you
I
have,
know what you mean.
I know, Hyperborea.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hyperborea has this sort of thing. And I kind of like that. It's cool, different every time. Wonders are always cool to build, even though I don't think they do all that much different.
Oh man, the Wonders are awesome. They're the ones that give you the powers, the really
They've
powerful
got-
powers as well.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, maybe I'm being unkind to them. The Wonders are always strong. I think maybe it's because the Wonders came in so easily that I felt like there wasn't.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
That they do seem to be able to be built very easily. Although, how many Wonders in each deck?
I can't remember.
Let's just have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4.
5.
I've got one.
You got an economy one?
I think that's economy. No, it's not.
I got
It's
two.
not proper.
You got 2 economy ones?
Oh no, I got one economy one.
Yeah, so there's 5 in a deck. Interesting, because that means...
Which one is this?
That's 6, I think.
6.
Oh, there's another one there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
4,
there's,
5,
there's
6.
2 of each.
Yeah,
2 of
which
each.
means 3 people can do that achievement and the other person has to do the other one.
Or take it off them.
Or take it... Yeah, true, that's a good point. You can take it off them and they don't
Before
lose
they
it.
complete it.
Because once you've completed one of those, you don't lose the
can't
achievement,
lose
if you
it.
like.
Probably ignored some of the positives as well while we were all sitting here talking about. You know, there were some
Well,
positives.
I think there's a reasonable amount of positives in there, to be honest. I think the mechanics are actually very clean. I think the focus thing is great, a really clever mechanism. I just think for a Civ game, they've almost kind of walked themselves down a bit of a dead end in that because it's such a clean mechanism, you can't really do a lot with it. There's not a lot of wiggle room in adding more stuff to that because you need those 5 mechanisms to play the game. Where else do you go then when you add stuff to it?
Also
And I
think
don't know where you can.
You don't have to work hard for anything.
No, it's very forgiving. It's very easy. I mean, in the previous, and it's for us, it's almost impossible to not compare it to the previous Civ.
Yeah.
We've played that a lot. We really like that game, so it's always going to be compared and held up as like the benchmark almost. In that, you have to work for things, you know. To get that 3rd city, you have to have a certain tech. You have to get the scout in the right place. You have to clear the enemies and things like that. You know, you have to get it in a good position where you want to build it.
you
In
almost
this, it's just like I'll just build a city, screw it.
Yeah.
I'll build another one, screw it. Doesn't matter because as long as it's not next to barbarians, there's really no problem.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even matter where it is. It just the terrain type means it's a bit easier to attack if we went to an attacking route. But this doesn't seem to be that much of an advantage in attacking. Yeah, I mean the city becomes someone else's, but yeah,
Unless-
build it again. It's not that hard to replace.
And unless you have this one with the 8 cities in, it doesn't even matter.
Absolutely, yeah. I think the barbarians have done brilliantly in this. They're a credible threat. They move around. They're dangerous as well. You can't ignore them. When they're near your borders, you have to go, okay, I now need to attack these. Whereas in the other one, it was just like, hey, free resource. Awesome. That's done much, much better.
Actually, funny enough, just talking about the barbarian, when you explained this to me in the beginning, and you said, oh, the barbarians, when they move on to your it's just dead, you're dead. And I was like, that just sounds shit. What's the point of having a military if you could just be so easily...
Yeah.
But now that I've played the game and I understand, you know, how the river flows, and you would do that naturally anyway. You know, it's actually quite cool.
It's always telegraphed. They're never there's never something there to jump them next to you before the move, so you can go, okay, they're going to move next turn. It's next to me at the moment. I could risk it and not attack them, or I attack them and try and get rid of them before they maybe move on to me.
Why I reinforced these 2 because I knew the natural flow, even if they jumped across the water, was there.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to be here.
And then
So-
it would, yeah, fine. Yeah.
And
So you can do stuff about it.
And it's not just a dead turn as well, like just attacking barbarians is your turn. You get resources
Stuff
for
them,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think I really like the barbarians in there. And aesthetically speaking, I like the little cities. They actually remind me of things from Clash of Cultures anyway. And I quite like the way the wonders sort of sit underneath them.
Yeah, I like that as well.
That's quite nice. And the board is lovely, as I said. If this board was on the previous Civ, that would be great. But all the, if you like, criticisms, yeah, I mean, that's a very interesting, the wheel that kind of moves the barbarians and respawns them and whatnot, kind of gives a nice flow to it as well.
Also tells you, you know, you got 2 turns before they respawn, that sort
Absolutely,
of thing.
yeah. But the negatives that you guys have said are present, definitely. It is, as I say, it's not abstract, but it's an abstracted Civ game. It doesn't, I certainly never felt like I was Sumerians, and to a degree, we're all the same. I mean, we all had abilities. I don't know what anyone's abilities were. You probably knew mine because I capitalised mine quite a lot. I don't know what the rest of yours
I've built
were.
my wonders for 1 less. To be honest with
yeah.
you, the wonders were quite easy to build anyway. So
Deserts and
yes.
mountains were classed
And I
as
can move
level
my
3
caravans
terrain if
out of
they
any
were by the
city.
edge.
Yeah. And so we all used our abilities at least once, certainly,
yeah,
but
definitely.
I'd probably
There was
use
not
mine
en-
every turn.
there was not enough there to make it go, oh man, you're playing the Romans, cool. They kind of steer down this path, they do this, because they're just, it's like a minor ability.
Yeah.
And so it's like, meh, we may as well be all the same, you know. It's a nothing.
It's like you would definitely not, in this game, you would definitely not get the situation like, oh my god, he's playing the Spanish We need to fucking stop him doing
Yeah,
that.
we need to uncover the boards before he does.
Yeah.
There's massive bonuses from it. So yeah, absolutely that. And I mean that's to a degree that's another matter because I think the Spanish might be perhaps a bit fucked anyway. But
In the game, not in real life. Just FYI.
yeah. But having said all that, I think generally speaking, I think it's quite good. I think it's quite fun, and I probably own that alongside the original Civ. I don't have any ill feelings towards this. I think it's quite fun, and I can see why I'd play this over the other one because the other one will take an entire evening, and if someone's only got 2 hours or 3 hours sort of thing, you can definitely fit this in, whereas that one is almost a definite not. I think I'd probably like it slightly more than you guys. Not a massive amount because you guys weren't necessarily detrimental about it, but I think it's probably a 7 for me.
I like these the city states, the way
The
they
city states
reward
are
you
clever,
with
yeah.
card. Now I'm actually starting to think of some of the positives. Maybe my 6 should actually be nearer a 6.5. I think I was too quick to feel, rather than concentrating on some of the positives more.
I think part of our, if you like, deflatedness is because you've always said Civ is one of yours,
Yeah,
if not your
it still is
favourite
the
game.
favourite, yeah.
It's up there for you as well. So you can't not compare it to that. And it's like, you're going to be like, it's not as good as that, ergo, it's down low.
It's like
that's not
watching a James
necessarily
Bond
the case.
film.
Well,
Can't
that's
not
what I was
watch
It's
compared to other
also
James Bond
not the
films.
fact that we like the other Civ game better. It's the fact that we like the other Civ game better and have the time to play the other Civ game.
Yes.
Because
That's
that's why
what
I
it
was
is, it's
very
the time.
conflicted about this game because it's technically not the same game. It's
There's
right.
no similarity.
yeah,
It's
other
like,
than
I
other
wish-
than name.
yes.
Yeah, I wish they'd not put this. You want a civilization in it, but I almost wish they hadn't put the civilization.
Ironically, they probably paid money to put Sid Meier's name on it as well.
Yeah, because you know there's no exploration in this game either.
No.
Everything's revealed from the get
They
go.
call it not a 4X but a 3X game.
Yeah,
Yeah, like,
You just walk onto it.
Yeah.
Once it's gone, it's gone.
and I'm pretty sure there's no extermination yet either. Can you eliminate someone?
You can't take out somebody's capital, I believe.
But you don't win if you do.
No.
So it's no X.
yeah.
It's 1x, you expand.
That's interesting. It's a really strange feeling I have for
It's
this game.
probably achieving what it wants to achieve.
Yeah,
to
it
be honest
probably
with you.
does. In terms
And-
of the fact that it's a quicker version of what they had out before.
Yeah, I mean, if we had a games night, you were turning up at 7 o'clock down a club somewhere, and you had to be gone by 10, 11. You know, why not do this? 'Cause you still get another quick game in after or whatever, you know, and you feel probably you've had a good night's game. But like I said,
But that's what I was saying. I think, like, because Nations, the dice game, and Tribes, you could play both of those in the same time as well. Not that I would.
I'm not being funny though. Nations the dice game is. I mean, it's alright, but
With the expansion, it's not too bad.
Yeah, I'd like to say we played that with the expansion, and I thought it was a far better game with the expansion than.
it might be. But I mean, let's still.
I feel you get a
You
better
ever heard the
game
phrase
with
about posh your turtle?
But the thing is, though, I don't think Nations the dice game is that much worse than this game. I mean,
Fair enough.
I gave Nations the dice game, I think, a 5 and now with the expansion, I would probably give it a 6, and I gave this a 6. So I don't think it's. I actually, funny enough, think Tribes is probably. It's really difficult, but Tribes is actually, and I'm doing this in inverted commas because it's not technically a better game, but it's better for
technology, I think.
for the time frame, for the civilization
Well,
feel.
I'll tell you why this game I prefer over either of those two, because this does what I like in games. It's not abstract. I've got my dude on a map and I'm kind of moving around. Both of those two don't in any way feel like I'm exploring a world, you know, being a civilization expanded out. It's more like
They're like
spreadsheet in the game.
newspaper reports as in how well them people are doing.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit. It's like the championship manager over FIFA kind of thing.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is the FIFA. They're the championship manager.
Well,
That's,
Yeah.
I wouldn't go that far because I don't think.
But you
this
know what
is-
I mean?
Yeah, I know. I agree. I agree to your point, but I think this is kind of like in the middle. Like that's more abstracted. This is slightly above that, and then you got Civ, Clash of Cultures, Eclipse, those type of games. But they of course take a lot longer than what these games are. I mean, even Nations, and obviously, what's the other one? The CGE one? Roll Through the Ages. Through the Ages. Those obviously are massively long games
Well,
and
Through the
very
Ages
abstracted.
is both abstract and massively long.
That's why I got rid of it.
And in a strange time, like when you got plenty of time, I'd probably play those over these. But that's never going to happen. Like you know, in a night where you want to play 2 or 3 games, you'd probably play this over those. I don't know. It's interesting.
It's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a real... Yeah. It's hard to say.
I think the general consensus is if you haven't played the previous Civ
If you're,
and
if
don't have the
you're-
time frame,
Yeah, if you're time poor and you want to play a Civ game, play this one
you
instead.
could do worse.
The
Older
problem
button.
is they're almost diametrically opposed to each other, because a Civ game you kind of want a lot. There's a lot of things going on in it. You know, the exploration technology, you know, all those sort of things, increasing your population, all that kind of stuff. And to replicate that takes time. And so you have to abstract it down and whatnot to fit it into a smaller time frame. So it's like a sliding scale. The more I take out, the less it feels like a Civ kind of thing. And it's
Yeah.
that's basically the sliding scale you're on. And I think this is maybe halfway up that scale, whereas I think Nations of Dice game's far lower.
Yeah, you're right. I think this is one of those games or one of those situations where it literally depends on what the people who are playing it want.
Yeah.
You know, like if we came around next Saturday and we went, right, we've got 4 hours, what do you guys want to play? And someone mentioned Civ, I think we would go for the other one. Or Clash.
Yeah.
And
Well, I think both those games are great.
yeah,
So.
and this one would be very low down the list in terms of that situation. But if we were, say, I don't know, at HandyCon or something like that, and we wanted a quick game with a couple of new people,
Yeah, I wouldn't be annoyed if someone says, "Oh, I want to do this tonight." Yeah, I'd be happy enough to do it again. I'd like to see how it played again. You know,
I think another, if you like, check in the negative mark is I've now played it, say, 2.5 times. None of those games felt massively different to each other.
well, they won't because
those if you like, achievements or whatever to win obviously steer your game, because you have to check all 3 of those columns, but because you're going through the same processes each time, it always feels fairly samey.
and you have the exact same 5
in a
actions.
Similar method. There was slightly different cards.
Well, there were
out
2 different cards, and in the other one that we had last
Yeah.
time, and I saved that till last again because
Yeah.
you rightly said you couldn't do anything to stop it.
Yeah.
So I got the 2 that you could stop, and then it's like, well, I've won, telegraphed it, you can't do anything about it.
Well, there you
I
go.
think they're just bitter because I won again.
Well, make of that what you will on our look at Civilization: A New Dawn. It really is a new dawn. So you can leave us a comment below to let us know what you guys think. I mean, this has obviously got us as in 6s and 7s here. We're really not sure what we think, or we do, but we don't. I don't know.
Well, I mean, we'd all score the other Civ 9.
Yeah.
Maybe
The
even
top 10
higher,
game
so,
for me, and
yeah, me too.
top 5 for
it's
Mick.
still my top one.
Or top 1.
Definitely. I haven't found anything yet that persuades me, if I had the time to play them, that I'd play anything else ahead of Civ. Without being time constrained. If I had an evening, we were allowed to do one game and everyone was up for it, I would always do Civ.
Not Ravage?
Oh, that bombshell!
Alright, see you guys later.